88 degrees in Hollywood. I've got my look on my fan, and I'll zoom you in. I just have some, what do you call it? Soleil Mineral Cooling Spray water on my face. And then I went in with my, oh dear, some blurring cream from L'Oreal. And then I got these two new shadow and liner primer. I'm trying to get the language right. It's NYX Professional Makeup. It's the ultimate shadow and liner primer. So I did apply it with my very softest and favorite silicone sponge in the lid area as well as under the eye in the liner area. So I opted to use the medium shade, which, you know, I'm still, like everyone, struggling with what shade am I in different ranges of makeup. I did hear from another creator that NYX and I believe Urban Decay are both owned by, let me not get it wrong, I want to say that they're a subsidiary of L'Oreal. Am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong. But in any case, oh no, there's that big ring light hurting your eyeballs. Maybe I'll turn this a bit. But yeah, I'm just here nursing my wounds. I'm, you know, kind of dealing with a friend of mine who is, you know, being mysterious and a little bit pissy. You know, couldn't get him on the phone Thursday or Friday night, you know, these suspicious stories, and then, you know, just unreachable, which is fine, right? If he had plans and was out of pocket, you know, certainly that's fine, but, you know, then it's become some, you know, you get the feeling that someone's running game on you, and it's fine. You know, we're just here doing makeup, right? We're trying to take advantage of the time, right? We're on hiatus from television shows. There's other kinds of work happening, and certainly I've been wanting to get more serious about, you know, being more consistent in my YouTube practice and my makeup practice, you know, try to get my lighting and my setup and my level of organization. Despite this looking like a wreck, it's far evolved from where it was. So it's almost Pride Month, right? I've got my new hair clip, right? Hope you can see that. That's very Hollywood, spangle, very early 2000s, very Paris Hilton. I also, as in the thumbnail, have this Basic Bae palette from Catrice. I've heard so many good things about Catrice from, you know, on TikTok, etc. And this is the Born to Be Basic palette. It has a little graphic of a coffee. And then, of course, it's in this sort of neutral set of shades. The back of the palette reads, being basic has never been better, right? This eyeshadow palette includes 12 highly pigmented matte and metallic shades for an endless variety of eye looks. Hands up for the Basic Bae. Basic, Sein war Nacht, German, then French, I think. Le classique a toujours la côte. I don't know. It's Frankfurt, New York, Catrice.eu. So I guess it's a European company, but then there's a sticker on it that says made in China. So hoping for the best. But yeah, I had a conversation with one of the top creators on a different platform, and he was first of all asking about this woman, I guess her name was Vicky White, who unfortunately passed away, having liberated a prisoner in the prison where she worked from jail. She sold her house for about half its value, went on the run with this character, and then instead of being apprehended, she unalived herself. Now, it's quite a dramatic story. It seems to have romantic elements, but I was disagreeing with my friend Montrell because he was saying that it was love. Love can make you do crazy things, but I don't agree. I don't think it's love. I think it's trauma bonding, right? This woman had divorced a man who was struggling with the pain of addiction, was living in her house, making a cute coin, imprisoning her fellow Americans. It's a big business here in the States. And, you know, maybe having mixed feelings, maybe having lonely feelings, being around a lot of grown men. She was in her 50s and alone, as far as news reports make clear. And, you know, sometimes you can develop a personal rapport with someone that you just see. The person at Starbucks, the person who, you know, gets you through the toll on the freeway. Like, you know, just that human interaction and that kindness. I still remember someone who held a door for me on Central Park South randomly. Just such gracious manners, and it just has always stayed with me as like a kind of mannerism that I would want to aspire to. But, you know, we've been talking about narcissism, and, you know, one of the things that narcissists do, it's trauma bonding, right? It's if she had confided in this man who has been returned to prison, I believe his name is Casey White, allegedly, you know, she risked it all. Some people could say it was out of love, but it seems more likely that, you know, whether it's depression or, you know, some sort of mental health struggle, you know, again, these actions don't come out of nowhere, and they certainly took her into a very risky place, and we now know how it all turned out in the end. But you know, someone can know that you had a divorce, or I think that her ex-husband had recently died, and they can sympathize, but more than that, you know, some people seek to take advantage of that, right? Like, you know, I had a neighbor, this sort of aged veteran who sometimes helps out in the community garden, and he was you know, calling me on my personal phone, not about community garden business, but to try to say that I should be available to him, shall we say, on a one-on-one basis. And I was like, you know, help me understand. Are you my boyfriend? Are you my man? Where's all this coming from? Why would I get involved in that? So we're just trying to pick some sort of mid-toned matte shade, and not maybe going too dark first time around. And there's this very pale color, but maybe we should go for squad, hashtag squad. These are all the shade names, they're hilarious. Hashtag basic, hashtag wifey, hashtag squad, hashtag goals, hashtag no filter, hashtag MUA, hashtag twinning, not winning, twinning, right? Hashtag extra AF, hashtag MOTD, makeup of the day, I think. Hashtag MCM, man crush Monday. Hashtag WCW, woman crush Wednesday. Hashtag TBT. Not sure what that one means, but if you know, make a comment. But yeah, if we take squad, and it's a nice palette because it has an actual mirror in it, that is certainly a win for us on this very warm evening. So this seems to be a pretty bright apricot shade. We're getting it on this Real Techniques, some kind of fluffy brush, but you know, we're basically wanting to set our, let me get the terminology right. DragCon is happening in Los Angeles right now, and I was so excited to hear that Rich Lux was going to be there, because that was certainly one of my quarantine idols. I watched so much Rich Lux and Luscious Massacre. Rich Lux, you know, and the first time I saw him, I wrote a message. I was like, why are you wearing those triangles on your face? But, you know, very quickly I got accustomed to it. And now I like his regular face, but I understand that's his shtick, and he's very funny, and, you know, certainly helped me get through a rather challenging time. But he's at DragCon, or was today. I've seen the photos and the Instagram stories. He is with that guy from Yubu Beauty, and they're having some sort of giveaway that I'm hoping to win. But they're also going to be at some sort of meet and greet tomorrow in, is it Canoga Park? I'm so tempted, right? The Global Panini hasn't gone away, but, you know, Patrick Starr said to stamp your eyeshadow on. All this swirling and whatnot can disrupt what you have laid down. So you want to stamp it and then blend. So we're going to try to do that. I hope there's enough light and enough camera for you to see what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm kind of tempted to get out on the road and try to check out. They're just there for an hour. I have no idea who shows up or how long the lines are at events like this. I've never gone to one. But I actually do I actually do really like Rich Lex, and I've learned a lot from him. You know, just from watching him and getting in on all the YouTube gossip. I mean, you know, my work is not necessarily related to a lot of these beauty gurus. I have worked with Dave Dobrik and Seth Francois and Dirty Dom in the past, just randomly on different productions. And, you know, one of my friends was cast to be a grandmother in a some sort of video that Seth Francois just cast. I don't know if he produced it, but he cast it, and she was so thrilled and happy and posted about it, and she said she made a lot of money. But yeah, I kind of would want to go and take a picture, but is that not Panini safe? Is that, you know, I have to work on Tuesday on some sort of Netflix series, right? I have to test tomorrow for the Panini. I don't know. I'm tempted. But in any case, you know, my point is that this prisoner probably heard, you know, old girl's story and, you know, was sympathetic and maybe pushed those romance buttons. You know, he had to, because, you know, she ended up selling her house to go on the run with him. And, you know, it's a lot, right? It's almost like, why did your love or your rapport require so much of your own? It's ironic. You're you know, a corrections officer. You're a law officer. You engage in criminal activity. It's not like you helped him get an appeal. It's not like you helped him, you know, do it the legal way, or he was wrongly imprisoned. I don't think there was any discussion of his crimes not having been his crimes, but, you know, the heart wants what the heart wants, or, you know, people have fetishes, people have, you know, tastes, kinks, as it were, and they can sometimes. So just getting this across the lid, maybe we'll squeeze our brush to kind of get this just very close to the lash line on the bottom, again, to set our primer. It's supposed to be shadow and liner primer. So should we tap it across the whole lid as a base? But yeah, you know, that she kind of resorted to criminal means of, I don't know, doing something, I guess, so they could be together. I'm going to guess that they had certain sorts of liaisons in jail. That's just a guess. That's just my speculation and opinion, for her to be so extreme in her desire to, you know, run off and have him in close quarters in private. And you know, certainly his arrest record suggests that he's not that guy. He's not the guy that you should be, you know, kind of trying to spend a lot of personal time with. But, you know, again, the heart wants what the heart wants. But this is what this very kind of peachy shadow is looking like on us. You know, I was messing around earlier with this palette, just trying to get the colors on. Went crazy with this new Doji Cat. I guess it's not new, but I got my hands on it. This Doji Cat makeup with BH Cosmetics. So I learned that BH Cosmetics stands for Beverly Hills. It's a smaller brand, and it's owned and operated by two, I think, Russian men or Russian brothers, but, you know, they've had some collabs that were successful with Iggy Azalea. There's been some festival brushes and a lot of different palettes. You know how I love this Lost in Los Angeles palette, and I'm thinking of you know, doing some, what do you call it? Vlog style stuff where I go to where the locations on that palette. Um, but in any case, I slapped some of this on my eyes with the Doji Cat. Um, and it just looked extraordinary, right? This kind of dark chocolate Man Crush Monday brown. And I didn't get into TBT, but that might be a good liner color. But, you know, as I continue perspiring, the sun has gone down, so that's helped tremendously, but it is not assisting my makeup. But in any case, you know, I think that when you are dealing with someone as perhaps criminal and selfish and self-centered as this prison bae that this woman who was a prison guard had, you know, one of the things that they use, you know, besides kind of learning your traumas and your pains to kind of be the salve or the solution to that, the other thing is like the shock and awe. Like, oh, you know, well, we can't be together unless you break me out of prison, right? And then, you know, the wheels start turning and she's laying awake at night and, you know, looking forward to seeing the character. And then maybe let's not go in with the darkest shade, but give Makeup of the Day a little chance to see what it does in the outer corner, right? So hooded eye or deep set eye. I have trouble thinking of my eye as deep set, but I've heard that terminology discussed. But again, looking into our mirror and stamping that color on so that it shows just above the crease. But yeah, you know, to kind of put this woman who, you know, has been through so much, through all the risk associated with busting him out. You know, she'd been giving him extra food and who knows what else, but you know, he found himself in a position to dictate to her what she needed to do for him, right? Let's never mind about him atoning for his crimes. Let's never mind about what exactly was he trying to do for her, right? But the kind of business of their romance became what she was going to do for him, what she was going to do to risk her career, her safety, you know, and it may just be a sign of depression or a mental health struggle that, you know, she would go that far with such an unclear return, right? There's so much that happened that cost her. And, you know, I think that it's just such a, sometimes, you know, like Romeo and Juliet, the whole idea of sacrificing yourself for love. But if he loved her, I don't think he would have put her through that. And if she loved, you know, herself more, it would never have occurred to her to sacrifice her life, her job, her assets, her peace. But, you know, sometimes when charismatic people come into our lives, right? Look at that other prison bae, that blue-eyed black man from somewhere like Baltimore who was all over the interweb. Very good-looking guy. I think he was modeling and then he dated an heiress. You know, good-looking guy, right? Good-looking like Jesse Williams from that Grey's Anatomy, right? The Shonda Rhimes show. And now he's performing in his birthday suit on Broadway or maybe off Broadway, I'm not sure. But, you know, maybe whatever this prisoner had just, you know, knocked her for a loop, you know, emotionally, and suddenly she wasn't rational. And I think there's something addictive about feeling in love, feeling out of control, feeling irrational, feelings where, you know, maybe there hadn't been a lot of feelings and an opportunity to meet someone in a long time. You know, not a lot of men in the outside world, like people outside of law enforcement, don't necessarily sympathize or like people who work in law enforcement, or maybe that was seen as like a masculine kind of job for her to have. But, you know, certainly she owned her own home there in Alabama, is it? And, you know, this guy, I believe, took advantage of it. But, you know, it's not an isolated incident for someone to fall on their sword, as it were, for love, right? But, you know, the real question is, and, you know, Montreal brought this up, like, what's going on with women and prisoners, right? All this prison bay culture, and especially black women are very guilty of doing this as well, like holding our BH Cosmetics. No, this is a Real Techniques brush by the end, so that it's very gentle, and just, you know, blending out that outer corner color, seeing if it's contrasty and deep enough, and lifting that shadow up toward the end of the brow, right? We haven't put anything in our brows yet. And maybe we can go just a tone deeper on that outer corner. But, you know, Sherry Whitfield from Real Housewives of Atlanta is involved with some man who has some sort of either current or past prison experience. And Phaedra Parks had also been involved with, I think, Apollo and Nidra, who maybe went to prison while they were involved. I'm not sure. But, you know, I know an actress who married a guy who had been, I think, incarcerated for embezzling money from the church. You know, is crime about poverty, or is crime about, you know, on some level being a criminal? I think it's a mix of both, right? When people rob a bank or, you know, punch through someone's car window, right? And if that's their, you know, sort of will, what's to think, you know, why would you think that they've repented, and why would you think that they're going to be better? Really, you know, like, where was this going? Were they going to have a farm? Was he going to suddenly not be a criminal, right? You know, honey, don't steal that, I'll pay for it, that kind of stuff. I'm not sure. But, you know, I think that if you've seen, Lee Daniels did a movie called The Paperboy with Matthew McConaughey and Nicole Kidman and, you know, just a really extraordinary cast. Zac Efron, who, you know, looks incredible in the movie, and John Cusack is the prisoner that Nicole Kidman is in love with and visits in prison, and I think she helps him, you know, appeal his case and get out of jail. And the movie is just dark and mayhem. I'm not gonna, this is not a, you're not gonna be, you know, this is not something to watch with your, you know, mom or something like that. But this is what the shadow is looking like, right? Is this too much light? Is it enough light? Here I go again doing my makeup at night. But we might need just a little bit more in that outer corner. And so now I am using a BH Cosmetics brush. These beautiful, it's number 6 in this red chrome, and it's a pencil brush, right? For that precision, right? Going into the second darkest shade, this MCM color right here, and trying to amp up that, just that outer corner, just to give that eye more structure, and then we'll blend it out with our previous Real Techniques brush. But, you know, in this film, John Cusack's character was very charming, you know, and definitely knew how to press the buttons of his, you know, she was like a groupie. And, you know, Nicole Kidman is many things, but she's a very extraordinary actress on many levels, and she does work in this movie, as does he. But it becomes clear once John Cusack's character has gotten what he wanted, right, that her expectations of gratitude, her expectations about their rapport, and that they understand each other, and that this is going to be a wonderful togetherness. I don't recall if they got married or not, but I guess given the period, it was supposed to be a period piece. They probably did, right? Looking straight ahead into our mirror and just stamping that color so that it is visible above the crease and points up toward that tail of the brow. But I think that it's a very interesting portrayal And I think Lee Daniels gets a lot right with this movie in terms of, how women, white, black, or otherwise, can romanticize the prisoner experience, right? Whereas other people might say, run, hide, definitely do not engage with someone who's in jail for, like, violent crime or fraud or anything like that. But, it's not like people who are in jail aren't human. Look at our friend Robert Downey Jr. And I'm still shocked to this day that he actually served time. I would have thought that his level of privilege and, racially, and who his father was, and, big star and all that would have spared him from actually going into the jail, but it didn't. Right? So we've done some work here. We've lifted the eye with these very gentle, basic bay Catrice tones. And, this would be an appropriate look for day or for work or for visiting your prison bay. But yeah, I recommend the Paperboy. But I also think that, it's quite remarkable that this woman, the prison guard, but also black women find themselves into these, relationships with with men who have shown themselves to be, I don't know, criminal, whether it's drug dealing or, financial crimes or pimping or whatever. And I don't, it's not like I think that you can't be forgiven or that you can't be rehabilitated, but we certainly have seen, the word is recidivism, right? Prisoners, people involved in crime, go back to doing what they were doing before, right? And Robert Downey Jr. has gotten married. I think he has, I'm not sure. Does he have new children, or I'm not sure. But I think he's an extraordinary talent, and I've heard that he's extremely lovely to work with, and perhaps, pencil brush, just dragging the same MCM color underneath the outer third of the eye, right? But, is it a rarity for someone to be rehabilitated, not only from drugs or crime or whatever landed them in there, or is it just, is it just a revolving door? And do you need to be involved in it, right? I get it. People are lonely. Maybe there wasn't really a lot of opportunity or other people that you could meet living in wherever Alabama and working at the prison. But, and maybe the internet dating isn't working out. But, I think we've all risked it all for some questionable people. Real techniques, kind of flat, it's unlabeled. I did keep the box, but we don't want to dig out that box. It's some kind of paddle brush for stamping on some kind of, this palette calls it a metallic, I'm going to say shimmer. It's not chunky enough to be a glimmer, or a glitter, but it's a shimmer, right? Palette calls it metallic shades, but I think glitter, shimmer, yes, glitter is chunkier. So looking at our eyes, right? Maybe we can take our brush of questionable behavior from Jeffree Star and Morphe, who were being sued for non-vegan pressed pigments that perhaps have caused problems for people, but very, very nice, fluffy, abrasive brush without being too rough on your eyelids, and just blending out those edges, right? Wanting things to look, in that John McClane sense, as seamless as possible, right? Trying to be very precise about the placement of our product, but really just wanting that depth to live at the outer corner and, in that crease, but above the crease, so that our makeup doesn't get lost in the crease, right? Anyone with a hooded eye understands the struggle. But yeah, like, if you're gonna make, you think about like investment bankers who've gone to prison for like financial crimes. You think about, someone who's always under indictment or always being sued, like a Donald Trump, or, you know, whatever people dragged Bill Clinton into court for. It just seems like, you know, there's going to be somebody, right? Clarence Thomas is married and on the Supreme Court. So there's going to be someone who will help rehab that person's image. I was watching Doji Cat do her eye makeup and really, really dragging that outer corner out toward the temple. Of course, her face is very differently shaped than mine, and I did want to make this point. I think that Doji Cat looks like Dorothy Dandridge. Fight me on this. There's some, you know, images of her with kind of short, curled hair that looks kind of vintagey, and there's a painting of Dorothy Dandridge. I'll try to put it on my Instagram on the Fairfax, no, it's the Hollywood High School. It's not a good mural, but if you know who I'm talking about, Halle Berry played her in a film. She was like kind of an old-time Hollywood actress, starlet, but yeah, you know, beauty looks, right? Getting your hair together, a little earring moment, getting your eyeshadow together, and, you know, thinking about how your makeup will photograph, especially given, you know, what black and white photographs look like, right? So just trying to get our eyeshadow game straight, right? Getting rid of any creasing, making sure that primer is set, right? And now maybe we can stamp on some kind of shimmer, right? Given how kind of cafe au lait and latte these eyeshadow shades are looking, let's go for goals. It's not the palest one, right, since the sun is down, but it is kind of a champagne shimmer. Just getting the little cat's paw of this brush in that eyeshadow and looking into our mirror and stamping it on the inner third of our eye to bring light to that hooded section of our eye, right? This is the part that lives under our very heavy eyebrows, right? That it can use some light reflecting magic from this eyeshadow palette, right? We prefer the shape to go further out at the top and kind of tuck in a little bit less at the bottom, but giving us that bright inner corner and some drama, right? Maybe this palette is a little bit pale for our spring, summer tan skin, but you know, we're working it out. We're just seeing where these colors take us and where our evolving eyeshadow technique lands us with, you know, our brushes, with our, you know, sort of the map we have in our mind of where these colors should go, just how far out the shimmer should go. And then we're going to get into some complexion products. How about that, right? Taking out a little bit of that light without turning it off. That part right there is just a little harsh. It's turning in the side of the mirror. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I'm seeing magic. Let's put on another layer of that just to make sure that shimmer is shimmering. I hope you can hear the people partying outside. Saturday night, you know, people are getting down, right? People seem to be returning back to normal. Is that premature? I can't say. I really just don't know. I'm one little Tanya, and I don't want problems. Same blending brush, just to kind of finesse the blend between our matte shades and that shimmer, right? Looking into our mirror, wanting things to be seamless. I really can't tell you how good this blending brush is. I know Jeffree Star. He's done a lot of bad things, said some things, apologized, but you know, we still have to not pretend that it's all gone away. But you know, I can appreciate a good brush that I got for cheap because of all the scandals. So this is our blending brush. Let's pinch it and see if we can get just a kiss of the shimmer shade under the first third of our eye, right? Just a little kiss under there. And then let's take a moment to fan ourselves. Tanya, why don't you turn on the air conditioning? Well, when I open up the vents, last year, a flying cockroach, a big one, popped out in the middle of the night. I had to open up the door and scream, and it jumped in the laundry hamper, and I had to open up the door and throw the hamper into the stairwell, and it was a lot. So sometimes it feels safer just to keep the vents closed and, you know, pull out the old fan like we're in the Black Church down in the Mississippi Delta. We're certainly glowing like we're in the Mississippi Delta, but, you know, I'm not mad at this eyeshadow. I just wonder if we need more depth, right? I went in heavy-handed with the darkest brown earlier, and then I put blue over it, and it was bananas. But, you know, somehow when I get on camera with y'all, I feel like, oh, let me do a conservative, let me do, you know, a conservative little job of, you know, let me just try to be, this is my favorite brush. This is a similar brush from Real Techniques. It's smaller, but this right here, the stiffness, the precision, baby. I wish I knew what these brushes were called, but it's a high quality brush. Anyway, from here, thinking of our friends on Euphoria, Alexa Demi, looking at this darkest shade, TBT, stroking the brush, just the head of that brush in that color, right? Looking into our mirror, right? Looking at where the hood of our eye is and where the lower lash line is, right? Looking at the end of that eyebrow tail. Maybe we can cheat that eyebrow tail longer, right? But we want to come in there and stamp, right? It's just on the tail end of that hood. So when our eye is open, we can see that line. When our eye is closed, we can see that line. That's the right placement. Bam! Let's see if we can do it on the other side. Same thing, take our brush, stamp it in that darkest TBD color, right? Look in our mirror, lower lash line, maybe the cheated tail end of that brow, right? Looking at the end of our hood and stamp. Let that stamp, right? Can you see what I'm doing here? Is that too much light? So that when we open our eye, there is the wing. When we close that eye, the wing still lives, right? And I feel like I have a more open, almost lateral placement on this side as opposed to the other side. So it's not exactly even. You know, but maybe I can split the difference, right? Go in and make this a little bit wider and a little bit higher. And then on the other side, go in a little bit lower. So trying to make it symmetrical, but it's springing out of the end of the eye and it's matching up with that lower lash line, right? We can stroke a little bit of color under there just to unify that shape. Other side, unify that wing with that lower lash line, right? Now we haven't put on any other liner, not a gel, not a pencil or anything, but I think we can take the same very favorite brush. Oh, I wish I had more than one, because it is so stiff and it delivers. When you stamp with this one, it's about the tension of the bristles, right? There's a lot of brushes, but they don't all do what you want you know, they'll bend when you stamp. They won't give you the payoff. And this brush, you know, I feel like maybe not every palette I've had from, and just stamping this color along the lash line, not every palette I've gotten from, now we're gonna risk it all and try to make an inner corner stamp that emanates from the upper lash line. Here we go. But not every palette I've gotten from BH Cosmetics, look at the sharpness. Not every palette I've gotten has been a win. You know, I think I got some sort of something in Chicago palette that had a lot of like greens and rusts, and I didn't see colors that I loved on my skin. I'm not finished exploring that palette, but it wasn't what Lost in Los Angeles blew my mind, and Rich Lux also recommended it. So when I saw it, I grabbed it. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona Pastels palette, which is way more expensive. But again, stamping along the upper lash line. But, you know, some of these brushes rock. Some of these palettes rock. And maybe that's what, you know, between reviews and our own experiments, that's what we're kind of forced. So inner corner flick, right? Lining up with the upper lash line. Other side. I do like how sharp this brush is. Sharp and stiff. But you never know what you're getting when you get brushes. You don't know until you get them home and you can take them out. And when you wash them, what they do after. But yeah, some of the stuff that BH has done, including the Doji Cat collab, have been on point. And like for my complexion, I got the Doji Cat Champagne, what is it? The Champagne Prism Loose Powder Highlighter. I looked like Cleopatra. I put on this blue, this blue, royal blue liquid eyeshadow just as a liner. Baby, so good, so good. Right? I made this entire outer corner muddy with this TBT color. It was bananas. So do we want to reinforce this with a liquid liner, or is this enough? Is this enough? And then we go in with our complexion products. Lighting is harsh. It's the evening, but I don't want you to miss what I'm doing here. But yes, that whole prison bay thing, I have to confess to you, but I would think this palette, this is definitely a palette worth exploring. Basic Bay. I also got Badass Bay. I think that there are two more. One that has a green in it and another one that I wasn't interested in, but I'll see if I can get my hands on that. But Catrice, is this my first Catrice product? It may be. I've heard great things about their complexion products. But I think that's it for our eyeshadow. We could, what am I doing? We could put on a false lash. We could put on we could put on mascara. But yeah, a lifted wing. I'm trying to match the thickness and the shape, and somehow I'm always making my wings so long. It's like a thing. It's like something I like to do, but it's not necessarily necessary. When I've gotten my makeup done on set, I worked on that film that's coming out on Netflix, Don't Worry Darling, which is sort of very kind of period aesthetics. It was like dark wing liner and a lot of really beautiful, beautiful classic couture. I was in this like vintage, maybe 1950s Oscar de la Renta trapeze dress, chartreuse. My hair in a big bun up here. This Japanese man put my hair in a ponytail and tied like an entire, I think it was 2 bundles of hair into my hair and then swooped it around and made it was like a crown and dark lip, but the wing only came out it was a dark liquid wing and it came out maybe 1/4 of an inch. And I was shook. Different people did my makeup on different days, but I learned a lot watching them because it was so stylized and sort of period. So here's an LA Girl dark brown eyeliner pencil. Maybe we'll reinforce what we've done here before we go in with our foundation. But yeah, I'm just trying to practice and educate myself and, you know, kind of celebrate what I've been able to learn from makeup artists on set. You know, I was thinking of seeing my friend Leslie Augustin's burlesque performance soon, right? And I was thinking, oh, you know, it would be fun. A bunch of us worked on Strange Angel, which was a 40s period piece that Ridley Scott did for CBS All Access. Maybe we should, you know, put on period clothes and like watch, what is it called? Don't Worry Darling, with Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles and, you know, Chris Pine and just such great actors, Gemma Chan. I don't know. I kind of want to do something cool and stylish, you know, just to, you know, when I work on things, I want to support them. I want to make sure that, you know, I let people know about the project, but also, you know, to help make sure it's like successful. So that's a brown liner reinforcing what we did with our shadow. And then here's a Milani Bronze Gleam. You know, I've been looking at Zendaya's makeup in different photos, and I think that, you know, people who are of similar skin tone, getting some kind of bronze on your lower lash line instead of a black and instead of a gold, it just, with brown eyes and dark lashes, it really just does pop, right? You can get it below your lash line, you can get it on your waterline, but it just gives you a little something special, something coppery and unexpected that, again, brings drama to the lash line, but doesn't, you know, create heaviness that's gonna then smudge and wander down into the darker areas of your under eye. So, Milani Metallic Lights Foil Eyeliner Pencil. I think that looks very flattering. So, is it brows then foundation? Should we... I was looking at something. I was like, I should put that in my brows, but now I've lost track with all my yammering. So, yeah, that's my discussion about prison bays, because, you know, my final point is that men don't do that. You don't see men getting into sending, you know, sending a lot of love letters to women in prison, or doing a lot of, you know, it's just wild, like how women can invest in romances with men who are in jail. So let's try the NYX Control Freak eyebrow gel. I really do like this project. I like the soap brow, but I like the fact that you don't, and I did forget to bring my dish of water, you don't have to do all that. You just pull the brush out and just messily get it through your brows, right? This is like you kind of getting it on the brows, kind of like lash glue. You want to get them a little sticky, a little tacky, a little thick, a little messed up, right? And kind of take advantage of what's on your brush and kind of let it lift. Let it lift the brow, and then from there you stroke them into place. You know, fluffy brow, yeah. I have some length to my brows. I've had people, makeup artists, actually cut my brows without any warning. So I've put the applicator back in its little applicator home. So maybe I can use my spoolie just to get the brow into its shape once it dries down a bit. This brush, actually, the one I bent for my spoolie, it's a Real Techniques, and it actually has, again, a similar kind of liner brush on the other end, but I don't like this one as much. It's fine if you don't have the other one, but... So from here, what did I watch the other day? And someone was contouring, highlighting, and then foundation. Is that something we should do today? What brush shall it be? Something, you want something stiffer than this, right? If you're gonna, I'm thinking of contouring with a stick foundation. And here is the Stila brush, right? This big head and then this smaller head. But do I want to mess that one up? There was some brush I was messing around with the other day. This one might be a little too floppy. I think maybe this is Precision Foundation. Maybe we'll hold on to that guy for something else. But yeah, my confession is that, you know, at some period where I was trying to be active on social media, I started getting messages from someone on something. I don't recall if it was Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, but this person was, you know, very persistent and flirty, and, you know, I was like, oh, haha, whatever. But the person was, this is the eye perfecting, right? Look at this big, fat, thick head on this brush. It's just unreasonably big, but maybe it's nice and dense and stiff. Maybe we can use this for our stick foundation and kind of get that on as a layer. Now, did that work out for us last time? I don't recall. We went digging in the boxes. We got, you know, we pulled out a few things. By the way, I'm wearing a Brandy Melville top that I thrifted in Chatsworth. It's kind of see-through, but it's, in this weather, it's very comfortable. But we're taking cocoa. Should we take cocoa bean? I don't know where our other one went. Cocoa bean, and there was an espresso one. This one is espresso. This one's darker. Should we go dark or espresso bean? Let's try espresso bean. So taking our brush, stroking it into this, it's a stick foundation from Black Radiance, and try to get that. We were experimenting with our contour angle earlier and get that into our product. All right, kiss that in there. And then thinking about where the top of our ear is and wanting to go in just that angle, but lifted, right? In a lifted shape. You want to feel kind of where your bone stops and your teeth and your bone come together, right? People have talked about this hole, where if you put a hole in your face, you could feel your molars, right? And you want to lift that color up and just make sure that it's looking like a shadow. And this color is pretty warm on us, but if it's too warm, we can go in with a powder, a grayish powder, and, you know, a contour powder, and kind of gray it up a little bit. So again, top of ear, that point where through your face you could feel your teeth, right? So that's your angle. That's where you want your contour, we think, to go, because every day is an experiment, right? At night, trying to find the right light, the right lift, the right shape, right? And I do like this brush. It's nice and dense, because last time we were using something that was a little too soft to actually give us the color deposit and the precision that we needed. Now this is supposed to be a precision eye perfecting. How can this big old brush be for your eyes? I don't get that. That doesn't seem quite realistic to me. Now, have I gone and made my Contour uneven. I'm dealing with uneven lighting. That's another issue. So we can take our beauty sponge, wipe that guy off, right? We did it right over here, right? We want to do exactly the same thing. So getting our brush in the product again, top of ear. You know, people are partying. So is that better? Maybe it's better. Maybe I have different shapes on the different sides of my face, right? The way it feels here, I guess that feels right. Maybe just the lighting is throwing me off, but better safe than sorry. Any mistakes you can kind of tap out with your beauty sponge, right? But you want your colors to really show, so you get like a nice shadow under there, nice shadow under there, chocolatey, right? Then think about that double chin and erasing it. We did go to the gym today, and it was nice because, you know, there's been so much mayhem in the gym that nobody else goes. So I was able to do my weighted carries and my deadlifts and my blank squats. I won't use the word that is actually used to describe them because it's not nice, but I'm trying to tone up the knee, the area right above the knee. And it's a very difficult spot. And they say that jumping rope is good for it, but who likes jumping rope? Not me. But yeah, my confession was that I was being reached out to by someone who in the end turned out to be a prisoner, I believe in Georgia. He actually sent me like several dozen cupcakes from Sprinkles. And if you know me, you know I love Sprinkles cupcakes. And, you know, he had a cell phone, he was on social media, he was in jail, he was being very charming, but when I figured out he was like, I have a confession to make, and I was like, what? I think I was at work in production. I'd have to think about it more, but you know, I was so busy and it was such an overwhelming time for other reasons, but you know, when this guy was like, yeah, I'm in jail, and I was talking to my lead actress friend who was married to a guy who had been in jail, you know, it just was so startling to me. And my thought was like, well, I don't want to get in trouble for this. I don't know you. I don't know you. I didn't know you were in jail. And how can you send me cupcakes from inside jail? And I think the suggestion was that they were able to, you know, either pay or convince guards or someone in their world was helping them, you know, make purchases in the outside world. And maybe that was what the guards kind of get out of relationships of prisoners, that it's another income stream, maybe. Because I'm not lying, like I love a Sprinkles cupcake, and I was getting cupcakes from this character, and you know, my thing in the end was like, well, blockety block, because I don't want to get in trouble for this, right? I don't think you're supposed to have cell phones in jail, as far as I know. I mean, I understand because I used to work for an oil heiress, and her maid had a relative who would call collect from the prison, and I think phone service in the prison is very expensive. But you know, people take advantage of poor people in oh so many ways. But in any case, we're just trying to get our contour on. Maybe this color is a bit warm, but we're gonna use it anyway. So apparently your forehead contour should come from the corner of your brow up and into your hairline, right? There's so many people just smearing their contour. It's supposed to be forehead, jaw, right? Then, sorry, forehead, cheekbone, jaw, right? It's supposed to be a 3. So from here, is this too bright? Maybe I can calm it down a little. I just want you to be able to see, right? Tail of brow into forehead, right? So no lower than that. You want this area to be bright, I think. Then from your from your jaw, no, from your cheekbone here, right? A slender line at the front, but definitely creating drama under that cheekbone. All right, I just like the way it looks on this side better, right? It kind of hugs the muscle of my face a little bit more accurately on this side, right? And that's why we do our makeup practice, so that when something's important, oh no, the blender went running away. But thankfully, because of Pride Month, I have another one. Let's just take a moment to appreciate this guy. So cute. It's got a nice point and a nice fat little red butt. But I may have shown you guys this before. It's the Creme Shop. I don't know what VS means, but Precision Blending Sponge for Rare Unicorns. But, and the little unicorn has a little sign that says me. On the other side it says you. So I guess me versus you. Classic teardrop shape, reaches broad and narrow surfaces. Use wet for smooth, seamless blending. Dampen sponge with water. Squeeze out excess water. Dab on desired cosmetic. We did that. But what I'm saying is that unicorn means one thing to children and another to the adult LGBT community. And there's certainly a lot of drinks and cookies and cupcakes and pastas and all sorts of unicorn themed things that are child oriented that I think are, it's interesting, right? As we have the conversation about identity and gender expression. And certainly as we, you know, look forward to Pride, if there's no hesitation to message cishet gender expression, right? Gender expression, right? There's always that, you know, first grade, oh, you're a prince, I'm a princess, oh, let's get married, right? It's cute, right? If that's cute to sort of teach that lore and have children participate in those kinds of story ideas, then, you know, just the idea that there a lot of like conservatives, especially those nitwit types in Congress, keep trying to say, oh, there's only ever been two genders. It's like, well, during the Roman Empire, there were eunuchs. And during the Roman and Greek Empire, if you just look at the art, obviously there was more than just cis, hetero, you know, man, woman, childbearing stuff going on. Do your own research. But, you know, all this kind of be ahistorical about, you know, gender expression and sexual orientation. It's just not, it's not historical, right? You look at classic ancient art in India, same thing. Entire cave paintings in Ajanta and places like that. It's like, obviously there was more going on than just, you know, man, woman, heterosexual behavior, right? Let's just try to be honest, right? It's like saying that there's two races in the world, black and white. It's like, well, have you ever traveled the world? Obviously that's not true. So, you know, I mean, I love the fact that we have TikTok and more of a conversation about real, true facts these days. So just trying to very carefully draw on nose contour. And this is our underpainting layer, right? Is this contour too pale to show up through our foundation? We're gonna try at least to get it on. It's certainly warming up the face. It certainly is providing us with contour, but will we obliterate it once we have applied our foundation? That is the question, right? We're just getting these contour places thicker and darker, right? Trying to lay down the exact right shape, shrink that forehead, shade what we're trying to shade, not bring that forehead contour too much past the arch of our brow, so we have a nice bright center of forehead. Trying to make straight lines on the nose, right? Make a little button nose, make that little round shape. Shorten the nose, right? Checking out our chin and jaw contour. Trying to make sure that contour comes up high enough to be visible on the face, right? But blending down onto the neck and into the shaded areas that would appear naturally on the neck, making that contour gradient, trying to cancel out all those prison cupcakes and all the delicious, you know, sushi and ice cream and different things that we've been indulging in. This is definitely a very warm shade for contour. Our shadow is on. Contour cream is on. Now, we shall strategically go and find a gray contour shade, not a bronzer. Oh, no, no. We want something that's maybe even a little bit more gray than this contouring palette from Wet n Wild. Thankfully, our friends at LA Colors Contour and Essence Contouring. Maybe we'll get into the Essence. I felt very lucky when I got this Essence palette because I don't see it all the time, and it has two tones, a darker and a lighter. So if from here, should we even take the same brush? Maybe we should. And then set this contour. You see how exactly right this contour is on this side? It's shadowing right where that muscle is moving when I talk. Over here, I can't see it as well because of how bright the light is. But hopefully we've done ourselves justice. It looks like it might be close. But using this brush and getting it into, maybe we'll go for the darker color. Now, are we gonna mess up if we put foundation over the contour? Maybe we should go for a powder foundation. I've certainly watched with interest as Painted by Spencer on TikTok and Patrick Starr were finishing makeup with powder foundation. So getting this onto our brush and then patting it on our contour, both to set it and to take out that orange bronzer kind of color, right? Hugging that cheekbone, lifting it higher, up. When people say blend your contour up, it's like up toward the hair or up toward the eye. I never know. And same color, although now I'm getting my contour kind of a little oily from the contour stick and that being on this brush. But I do think that this was a great save for this contour, just so it wouldn't look so warm. I'm so yellow orange. I'm not really crazy about getting on orangey tones of bronzer. It just kind of warps your makeup into looking like bronzer. And some people like that. I don't think I'm one of them. So connecting that nose contour to our brow, making sure there's still space for highlighting, making a little line across to make sure that it looks like a button nose. All right, looking at ourselves in all different light. Cooling off that jaw and double chin contour. We want this to look like shadow. We don't want it to look like bronzer, right? Bronzer is for where the sun hits. Contour is where, you know, we're trying to fake a nose job, right? I think we've darkened it enough that we can see it through whatever foundation product we go through. So maybe we contour, right? We've gotten this cream foundation and this contouring powder on. Maybe from here we can get into our, what do you think? It's so hot. We certainly do have this e.l.f. powder foundation, right? And I think Patrick Starr went over the powder foundation with highlighting concealer. I'm not sure though. Maybe we should get on some concealer before we do the powder foundation. You know, we just want to make sure there's enough depth in our underpainting to show through the overpainting, right? Here's some Colourpop. Here's some Colourpop concealer, right? We did not use a primer, right? I'm definitely guilty of not using primer. It's not my thing. I don't really think about it. Do we need to draw more brows on? We never did go through and comb through our brows now that we got the brow product in there. Maybe we'll do that. We've got our little spoolie, right? We put all that great, what is it called? NYX Control Freak eyebrow gel. And this is one of the few eyebrow gels that actually does it. So now that it's sort of mostly dried and we're a little bit sweaty, it's letting us fluff that brow up, right? Fluff that brow up with hold. Whereas I feel like some of these brow products don't really fluff, right? That your brows stay so flexible, it's like having nothing at all on them. But I feel like once this product is on and I comb through, it makes a difference in how my brows look, right? If we leave it full, fluffy, not even combing it over, full and fluffy, fluffy as possible, right? Then from here, we have a few different brow products that we're messing with. Now we've had this Benefit Brow pencil in the past, but maybe, I think the other day we had pulled out this NYX Chocolate Fill and Fluff product because the one from, what is it called? From Wet n Wild was such a disappointment. Should we give the Wet n Wild another whirl? Maybe. I do like the fact that it's like a crisp little pencil, kind of like the eyebrow products I've gotten from Daiso, but I feel like if my skin is wet or moisturized, that I'm not gonna get I'm trying to make that brow longer, right? Because if the brow is longer, then I can kind of point my eyeshadow there and not I have a little sparseness here at the beginning of the brow. But, you know, this pencil is subtle. It just doesn't give me like satisfying hair-like strokes. It creates like a shadow. And maybe that extends the brow. But, you know, just trying to make it even and create some length over here. You know, it definitely colors the skin, but it doesn't look like hair. So that's why I'm not in love with this product, unless it's just something I have to use without anything else on my skin. You know, that maybe that'll give me more payoff. But, you know, for you, the people, I tried it again. We're not in a bad place. Maybe we should get this Colourpop No Filter Concealer on in all the conceal places. Let's just take it and get it in our dish. Look, our stream isn't dropping out tonight. This is a miracle. So just taking this product and then getting a little bit of it in our dish, right? And then taking some kind of fine tipped brush, something with a little flex. This might be a little too big. You know, we don't want to waste product, but we don't want to have too much brush and too much pressure, right? We want something that's gonna get the job done. This is kind of like a cheap little, almost a pencil brush from the dollar store. I'm not sure what the brand, it might be this Vivace or Vivace brand, but taking the brush dry, kissing it into a little bit of that foundation just to saturate the brush, looking into our mirror, right? looking at where our shadows live, wanting to respect our eye makeup, but create brightness under that eye. And also in the corner of that nostril, right? Some people say, cancel out that nostril, right? Have brightness from that under eye, down the side of the nose, to try to create a frame around your nose contour, right? Other side, right? Thinking about letting that product dry down, thinking about symmetry between the different sides of the nose, right? Wanting brightness in that corner under the eye, but then also wanting to cancel out the nostril and frame the nose contour. Right? Looking up into our mirror, not wanting to put on too much product, but we want to put on enough product, right? Framing that nose contour. You know, ideally, you would want your nose contour to be very thin and very precise. So taking the tip of that brush, I'm running it down the center of the nose, right? Just a thin line, giving us that sharp brightness. Sharp brightness right in the center of the nose, right? Brightness between the brows. If you've done the work to make sure your brows don't connect, getting a little bit of that into the forehead so that you have a nice bright forehead. You know, wanting to use the product, not too much product, but you want it to kind of kiss toward where your forehead contour is. We've all seen Kim Kardashian with her highlight and concealer underpainting on, and then, you know, different artists go in with, whether it's powder concealer or not powder concealer, they go in with powder foundation or cream foundation, right? Cupid's bow, chin. I was experimenting earlier with how and where do I put highlighter to make my chin brighter, right? I'm not someone who contours under my lips because I don't have lip problems like that. I don't have to really draw them on or do all that jazz. But we want to use this to sharpen up underneath our cheekbone contour, right? Brightness right above that jaw contour, right? Other side, brightness under that cheekbone and above the jaw, right? We don't want it to come too far forward. We definitely want it to be visible. Just checking our mirror for symmetry. Let me go get my beauty blender that fell on the floor. I'm back. No worries. So just using our non-Pride beauty blender. I kind of don't want to mess the Pride one up, but taking that very bright concealer down a couple of notches. You know, and that's a phrase I used when I was cautioning that coworker at a soap opera, you know, to stop sitting and holding and talking about, you know, minorities being on welfare and that the global panini is a hoax and all this. You know, you could just tell he's been sitting in his house and listening to conspiracy theories and conservative radio and OAN and all that stuff, and that's fine. But you shouldn't talk about all that so loud at work. Talk to your friend. If your friend's into it and it's interesting for them to think about, very good. But, you know, it's a lot, and I said this to him, it's a lot. Turn the volume down on it. It's not like, you know, I'm very capable of hearing all stripes of opinion. I definitely keep track of what our friend George Webb is up to. I definitely, you know, keep track of, you know, all stripes of opinion, because I think it's important, you know, as we mourn, you know, the folks at that grocery store in Buffalo it would be naive to think we can go through the world and not know, you know, what's on other people's mind, right? I've been hearing black people, like gun owning black people, talk in a very derisive way about certain groups of immigrants, and that's a really, it's a very shocking place that this information has sort of come from, and you know, kind of citing different incidents and things happening in New York and different places. You know, I'm quite shocked to hear it, but I feel like I need to know that that sort of talk goes on, and you know, that that's kind of how people are thinking, right? So this concealer is on. We've sharpened that jaw contour. Sharpen that jaw contour, right? You can even sharpen it up a little more, right? We didn't put on any blush, but we can, right? We have a little bit more concealer in our dish. Have we done all we can to eliminate the nose? Can we just get these remnants of this concealer on in a way that really sharpens up that nose contour? But yeah, we need to be careful, but we also need to be informed of what people are thinking and what they're doing. You know, and part of that is, you know, people influencing thought. You know, Elon Musk is letting Trump back onto Twitter, and you know, I think that Trump is good for news services, and he's good for ratings. He's certainly a veteran performer in those, you know, sort of parts of the media. Is he a responsible performer? As you know, perhaps the world is in the middle of some kind of war situation with Russia. Like, you know, you think about, you dive into that rabbit hole of what people were doing with misinformation during the 2016 election and thereafter, and all these conservative places backtracking about their claims of election fraud. And it just seems like, you know, they ran it up the flagpole to see if they could get away with it, and in the end they did not. And in the end, people are looking like jive turkeys, right? That's an old terminology from watching, you know, certain sitcoms from the 1970s. So we have a couple of cheek colors, right? We have this stick cheek thing from Daiso. We have one in this, I believe it's cherry red. I threw away the package, but this is what it looks like. And then we also have, it's called stick cheek. They don't play around. They get straight to the point. You are glam, sexy and healthy makeup. Stick cheek. And then this color is beige pink. I got in trouble by sticking this one right on the face, but maybe if I get a brush into, I don't know. I think nighttime lighting calls for the cherry red stick cheek. And if it doesn't, again, we're going in with a stick. If it doesn't work out, we're going to reinforce it with powder. Have no fear. We dug out this City Color, Glow Pro, some other kind of powder blush palette. Many exciting colors in here. But yeah, let's get into some kind of brush. You know, this flexible angled brush that people seem to love so much. Let's see what's happening. But you know, our contour is pop it. I was unsure, but on this side in particular, you see that lifted angle? You see that lifted angle? You see that jaw contour sharpening things up? Over here, it's a little less clear, right? It's a little more looking into a mirror that you can't see. Just blending that jaw, right? Wanting that jaw to kind of kiss up and make that chin highlighting pop a bit more, right? Wanting to make sure that our jaw contour comes up, base of the ear, and then it's blended under the neck, use a gentle hand, but also make sure it's blended because you don't want to look like a fool. Imagine you're out to brunch. Imagine you're on camera. You don't want people to be like, oh, look at this try hard with all of her contour. But when people don't clock your contour and they let you get away with it, it's so worth it. Nose is tickling. Feels like some kind of brush fiber. You know, but just trying to figure out how much product is enough. You know, I've gotten into the habit because of my makeup practice. If I go to parties or wherever, I want to put on makeup because then I look good in photos. And people who go to parties and don't wear makeup can look a little strange. Now, is this brush too soft, or is the flex in this brush the right thing for this blush product? I feel like I'm gonna have to hold it so that the bristles don't splay. I don't want to get the product up into the brush. I want to get the, unlike here where the stick went on my face and now it has foundation on it, I want to stroke that off with the brush, right? Clean it. Clean the product up so you see how bright that is. Making sure there's enough on the surface of the brush, right? Cream products. No powder, no foundation yet. Looking at that contour, looking at that angle, kissing that cherry on there so that it's intense. Look how intense, right? Face still ticklish. Using blender so that we don't use our nail and scrape off all the contour and whatnot. Maybe there's a little too much on this brush, but if we go in with liquid, and I think this is the exact right placement of blush, I can feel it, right? Getting that bright, getting it under there, right? Using the sides of this brush to kind of take the intensity down a bit on this side. I was heartened to see Painted by Spencer not put blush on the end of his nose like Doji Cat. I like Doji Cat, but I don't like blush on the end of my nose. I feel that that makes you look sick or like you've been skiing or eating powdered donuts, as it were. Kissing this over the bridge of the nose, that's a lot. Have no fear, our beauty blender can help. And then some makeup artists said that this is the right place to put blush on your forehead as if you're burnt by the sun, and then put a bit on the chin, right? Again, if this is underpainting that's gone a little crazy, on the nose especially, we're definitely going to see it, right? Some people say take the blush right up to the eye. Let's try a little kiss of that under the eye, right? Pink under the eye. That's all the rage now. People are putting a lot of pastel through here, and it can be a bit much. But you know, Daiso doesn't mess around. These products are super cheap. I think they might be $1.50 or $1.75, but I'm really happy. You know, Japan is a very yellow skinned place. I feel very at home with products that I've gotten from Daiso and with products that I've gotten from the Creme Shop, I believe, because they understand having yellow undertones in your skin. So if we use our beauty blender, maybe the butt part of it, and look at this red that we've put on our nose, we look sunburned, which is good, right? Wayne Goss has talked about using red under your makeup to make it look like you're actually blushing from within, right? Maybe this goes up a little far on the nose. So just tapping that off, hopefully, with our beauty sponge. And if it doesn't go away completely, then we've learned our lesson, right? Blush placement, over contour, right? We look like we've been in the sun. And maybe that's what we're supposed to do. Look like we've been in the sun. If that's what it is, then maybe we can go in with some kind of liquid foundation, right? We also have this Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Makeup, which is primer, concealer, highlighter, and BB cream. Maybe that's too much. We have this matte and poreless, normal to oily Maybelline Fit Me foundation in 322. Now I put some of this on my chest earlier. This looked too pale for me. I was judging by the fact that there was an Asian person on the little picture, and that Alyssa and what is her sister's name? Arnell, Ashley are, I think, shade 330. I thought, well, maybe I'm a little bit paler. This is Warm Honey. When I tried it earlier, it looked too pale. So we give it a good shake, shake. The blush is on, the contour is on, the highlighting is on, right? Open this guy up. It's a very traditional glass bottle. Get it into our dish, away from, let's try just a drop. One drop. Should we risk it all and get it onto our beauty sponge? Hold on. I'm just trying to clean up the bottle so that it doesn't cause problems. I hate messy bottles. But if we close up Mr. Bottle, we've got it on the beauty sponge, sorry. It's a generic product, right? If we tap it into our dish to diffuse it across the beauty sponge, right? I don't usually do this. I don't normally apply makeup with a beauty sponge, but here goes. Taking it between our contour and just trying to put a light layer of it over everything, right? Damp sponge. We're wanting to apply a light layer over what we've done with our contour and blush. And this is why I don't normally apply things with this kind of sponge. One drop should have been enough, but it basically got, I think, sucked into the beauty sponge. So we go in again, trying to get one drop. We're gonna go in with a silicone sponge because maybe that was too much product. Oof, oof, oof. Where is our silicone sponge? Here it is, right? If we use the other end of it to clean off our bottle, right? This way, the product is on the sponge. It's not in the sponge, right? We're trying to get coverage. We're not trying to waste time or keep this live going any longer than we have to, right? Tapping it into our dish to just try to make a thin layer. Thin. You can see through it, right? Looking into our mirror, our forehead's not looking terrible, right? Getting it on our face, wanting it to dance across all these colors, right? And use that soft, kind of floppy silicone to tap a light layer over all the contouring and blushing and whatnot that we've done. Just that quickly. Look how good that looks, right? Back into our dish, right? Getting it across that sponge in a thin layer. You can see how thin the layer is, right? It's translucent. You can see through it, right? We want that same effect on our face, right? Dotting it on. That blush under the eyes, under the nose. Wanting it to not look so intense and severe, right? But wanting it to kind of peek through and look pretty, right? If it's too thick or it goes too far and loses skin-like texture, we can go back to our beauty sponge. Beauty sponge, not beauty blender. We still have quite a bit in our dish, more than we would like to have in our dish. So are there places where we can take that product, maybe down the neck, maybe onto the ear, so that there's not some clear line of demarcation between our face and our neck, right? Thin layer. Dot it on and then spread it around, right? Stamping. Not really wiping. You don't want to ruin what's underneath, but you do want a translucent layer that kind of screens down what you've done contouring and highlighting wise, right? Moving our mirror around, looking around. This seems like a medium coverage foundation. It's real liquidy, so you can really work with it and spread it around. It's not like a thick Krylon. It's not like a heavy it's not like a heavy opaque like some of the MAC or even Lancome foundations, but in thin layers, right? Working quickly and efficiently, it does seem to deliver a sort of filter effect over the contour and highlight, right? We don't need to go in with more blush because it's already there. We don't need to do anything else to our eyeshadow because it's already there. Is our nose looking snatched? We certainly look prettier. Is this color matching our neck? Is it a little bit too pale, right? If it's too pale, we're definitely looking matte and we're definitely looking poreless. This is unpowdered. I think it's time for some lips. What do you think? Skin is looking healthy and even. There's no blemishing showing through. All that contour and highlight that emphasize the structure of the face, all of that eyeshadow that emphasizes the outer corner of the eye. We could be more extreme, but if our goal was to look pretty and enhanced, I think we've achieved that. Our favorite 16-hour infallible L'Oreal brown lip liner. This is cheap and it does the job. It's a little red in tone, just to cancel out that foundation lip. Is that the condition that I'm suffering? Foundation lip, where it erased your lips. All right, not overlining, just getting back the structure, not even filling it in. A little bit more at the outer corners, and then we'll take a matte lip color in the middle. Stroke a little line up the center. But you know what I tried earlier? And when it wore off, it's incredible. Stars. Let me draw your attention to this Doji Cat. What is it called? Deep Berry Liquid Lip Powder. Right? It does seem cloud coat. It seems to dry down to a powder, and it is very berry, so get ready. This is not for the shy. It's a deeply pigmented, and it makes me curious about the other colors, right? You know, stroke that on the lip. You have no doubt that there's color on your lips, but it's not going to play you and be super greasy. I almost don't want to put my actual finger in it because it's that pigmented. Let's take the end of this brush, right, and stroke it into our liner, right? Look at that texture. I think that this Doji Cat BH Cosmetics formulation It's one of the most satisfying things that I've discovered recently, because when it dries down, right, it gives you that old Hollywood, it's almost like a lip stain. That texture that says, oh, this might just be the color of my lips. It doesn't give you that grease painty kind of look and feel. It's calm in a way that emphasizes the texture of the lips. It's not drying, but it's definitely unexpected. And I have to see what the other colors were. I don't even know if you can get your hands on them now. I see that there was an eyeshadow palette that I certainly haven't seen, but you know, I'm encouraged by the fact that I recently got my hands on the Avani Greg. But look at this cloud coat from Doji Cat, and people are talking shit. I'm sorry, they're talking smack about the fact that she's not promoting it. It's like, you know what? Maybe baby girl is just busy. I mean, she is out performing her A off and, you know, very active on social media, and we all know how exhausting that is. It's just so odd to me that there were certain reviews of this makeup line that were kind of saying that her lack of promotion is suspicious. But let me in my video sit here and promote this. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how sort of realistic and healthy and comfortable and flattering this lip color is on me? Now, I was excited because Doji Cat is somewhere in the ballpark of my complexion, right? Her eyeshadows look a little bit pale for me, but I'll risk it, because that BH Cosmetics, let me tell you again, with this Lost in Los Angeles palette, I was shocked how these pastels read on my skin tone. And I've gotten played before. I've gotten played by the Nika K. I've gotten played by all these, you know, dusty, powdery cosmetics, you know, especially in the cheaper range, this Kai Beauty. Every single one of these color correctors reads as white on my skin. Please tell me. But that's not what BH Cosmetics does. And I strongly suspect that the people in charge might be people of just a little bit of color, because they seem to understand. This lip color is texture-wise, and what, you know, that your lips, that you could go to work and like be made up in a respectable way that doesn't make you look like a try-hard. No slick gloss on top of it in the daylight. That looks crazy. If you're a professional or you're playing something that isn't an influencer, all that grease paint on your lips during the day looks, it looks as extreme as the old 2016 Instagram eyebrows. It was a look, but it was a little too much, if you know what I'm saying. But this, I could live with this, you know. And again, the most beautiful wear down, like you eat, you drink, you forget about it. But then when you look at yourself in the mirror, it just looks shockingly beautiful. And I'm not exaggerating. It looks incredibly beautiful on the mouth when it's almost gone, right? When it's worn away, and when you know, you've had a blank appointment, you've been rolling around, doing the do, but it marries to your lip, and it has a comfortable matteness to it that you just feel like you could put a flower in your hair and, you know, be done for the evening. Should I go even crazier and put some of this Doji Cat highlighter on? Oh, I messed up earlier. I went into this Doji Cat Prism Champagne. I went in there like it was setting powder, and I walked around where I live with this on my face, and I looked crazy. I believe that this product takes the kind of brush, a very gentle and very kind of wispy brush, something that has nearly no brushing, No bristles to it. You need something that's gonna, you know, it can't be a shadow brush. It can't be something that bristly. It can't be dense because this is a very powerful product. I'm about to risk my makeup by demonstrating it for you, and then we'll be done. I think that was everything I had to talk about. I think the other thing that Montreal was asking me about was like, you know, how come some people can connect with their audiences and have people show up for them and other people can't, right? This highlighter needs a fan brush. Maybe not this big of a fan, but a tiny little fan brush, something very gentle with just not that many bristles in it, right? This is our acrylic organizer that's helping keep our brushes clean, right? We're kind of evolving from that place where we were putting everything in recycled drink cups from set. Although that was a good moment. I can find things, but all I'm saying is there may be a better way. So where did I put it? Oh, here it is. Look at this magical product. I pulled off the little sticker earlier, and I looked at it, but I didn't really think too much about it, right? There's a few droplets in the cap. Just want to kiss this brush into it. It's a powerful product. You don't want to go crazy. You want to take it easy, right? You want to look in the mirror and look with good light. Even that little smidgen. Just get it on the nose. See what's what. Right? Maybe a little bit more. Be very careful. It's almost like it's radioactive. Now that might be a little too much. Try to tap it off. I don't know if you're going to be successful. Right? High point of that cheek. Have things gone awry? Maybe. Right? High point of that cheek. Just above the brow arch. Right? Tiniest bit on the brow bone. It's gold. It is gold, y'all. This is a gold highlighter, right? And there's a bronze one too. It is gold yellow. And it clings to the skin like white on rice, right? Barest smidgen, right? The nose bridge. Are you seeing this? It's kind of crazy. Maybe a little bit on the tip of the nose. Very tiniest bit. Are you seeing this? Don't tempt me to go completely crazy, because I did earlier and it was, thank God I went to the gym because it was a lot. But I love it. It just gives you that like vintagey vibe, right? Top of cheekbone, right? Are we stamping it? Are we brushing it? We're learning about it, right? Just barely raking it across the top of the product, right? It's on the brush. It's glimmering, it's shimmering. Just kiss it to that, just rub that eyebrow arch, right? Right, the arch of the brow underneath. Are you seeing what I'm doing here? Right? Is it too much? Is this for stage? I know it's not for the grocery store. Tiniest little bit, Cupid's bow. Are you seeing what I'm doing here? A little bit on the chin. Ah. I feel, between this clip and this highlighter, I feel ready to go make a movie, right? And then this is how things get crazy, because then I keep going and it doesn't blend. It doesn't blend and it doesn't lift. So be very careful, right? A little across the forehead, right? So when you move around, if you're at a dinner party, is this too much light? Maybe it's turning the sides. You know, kind of like when they put the eyebrow on the lights on set. So you get that light, but it's not too much. It's not glaring, right? Look at that. Look at that hair clip. Look at that makeup, right? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Is it too yellow? Is it just gold enough? What does the bronze look like? Am I addicted to makeup? I don't know, but I certainly like to play with it. This is a powerful product. This is a powerful lip. Berry. I gotta find out what the other colors are, you know? And I messed around with that blue eyeliner. How long is this? Do you want to see the blue? I cracked that bad boy open and it was incredible, right? Here it is. Doji Cat Cascade Royal Blue Liquid Eyeshadow. Look at this. Woo! Intense. I was just messing around. I was just like, yeah. Here's this Real Techniques definer brush. We're about to go crazy, y'all, right? We got our mirror. This blue with this purple lip. We're not gonna put it directly on our eye. We're gonna get it on the brush. Bam, right? Get that brush. A little bit goes a long way. It's an intense color, right? Right? This people complaining that Doji Cat did not promote it. All I'm saying is, like, she did her thing with this. I don't think that was enough. Let's get it in our dish. Huh. All right, one little dot. See what we can do. It's slightly metallic. I don't know if it reads as well in the middle of all that black and brown, but I might do something graphic with it tomorrow or tonight. I mean, I just was loving this. I thought it was like an extraordinary product. Look at it on the applicator, right? Look at how saturated and like deeper than royal blue that is. Let's put a good amount of it in our dish and see if we can do something we've never done before, right? Draw like a graphic liner line, right? People certainly have been doing a lot of graphic liner given what's been going on Euphoria. Other side. Just connecting our wing back into our crease. Right, with a little jewel, with a little shankity dank. Outrageous. Outrageously good. We still have quite a bit of foundation in our dish. That's not exactly even, but especially on this side, right? Look how wet that is. Look how royal blue and saturated that is. And when you're kind of far away from it, it has such a strong coloration of blue. We're gonna get into this further, but you know, we're been taking it a little far tonight. But I am not mad, Miss Doji Cat, and I'm not mad at this Catrice Basic Bay. I am not gonna waste my makeup on Prisoners. I am not trying to get into anything romantic with someone who's in jail. So, you know, the person who was sending me cupcakes and calling me for hours every night on his prison cell phone, I had to be like, nope. And I had to block that number because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want people to think I'm, I don't know what you call it, aiding and abetting or whatever you do when you help prisoners out or help them get in trouble. I'm not trying to do that. You know, life is complicated enough. I can support people and support their struggle and their, what do you call it, rehabilitation. But, you know, I don't know, it's like dating someone or marrying someone or being involved with someone who cheats on their wife. Like, the best judge of the future is the past, right? If that's what they did before, what makes you think they're going to do something different in the future? Right? And that's the line you kind of have to draw just to try to minimize nonsense. And I'm not saying everybody who has a criminal past is not capable of repenting and all of that, but I don't see where the love was with this guy, dragging this woman into his BS. And, you know, I'm sure she had a struggle. It feels like, in my opinion, he took advantage of that struggle. Look at that highlighter. And that, you know, she's hopefully now her soul is at rest, but she didn't need to go through all that. You know, she could have been alive, lonely, depressed, unhappy, but alive, right? And that's what the global panini is teaching us, right? To try to value our life and value our health and not get caught up in the flim flam. Right now someone is trying to argue with me and say that, you know, I'm narcissistic because he's been ducking my phone calls for 2 days, right? I'm the problem, right? We're not going to play that in 2022, right? Like, you can be mysterious, you can duck calls, you can be unreachable on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, right? You're completely entitled to do that, but I'm certainly not going to accept the you know, the fault does not lie at my feet. I was in touch, he was not, and I don't intend to you know, take on the burden or the blame for that, right? And tonight, I had to get on here and, you know, wear my jewels, right? Everyone can be a star of their own show. Apps like YouTube, apps like Instagram, apps like TikTok make that all possible. You don't have to, like, waste your time with things or people who, you know, aren't going to be available, aren't going to call when they say they will, or, you know, in some other way are being shady, right? People want your time and attention. People want to make you believe this or that is going on, but, you know, the proof is in the pudding every day. You know, Mr. Prisoner took our girl out of her normal routine, and it hurt her and it cost her. Don't let it be you, right? We want to put our time and our energy into things that help build us up, psychologically, from our makeup practice point of view, from an organizing point of view, you know, so many things that we can do to help ourselves that don't involve, you know, men or partners who are in a struggle. The prison guy had to figure out his sentence, his appeal, all that stuff. And she could have supported him in that without, you know, risking her job, her freedom, or her life. Now, you know, I think it's an interesting story of the human experience to think about and grow from. And again, I recommend Lee Daniels' The Paperboy to, you know, dramatically explore some of those same themes with very good looking, very good actors. It's a little dark, it's a little LGBT, just know that before you go into it. But yeah, I think that it's important to handle yourself with other people graciously and responsibly, but you know, you don't have to take any crap from people or swallow their words or their accusations whole. It, you know, it's deflection to say that I'm the reason that we haven't been in touch when I call a whole long list of missed calls. But look at this. So cute. Little Brandy Melville top. Brandy Melville is a problematic company. It's a little see-through, as you see. You see my strapless bra underneath. But it's perfect for this hot weather. Some rings from Target. I think they have such cute, affordable jewelry. This little clip I got for $2 at the 99-cent store. So cute. But yeah, I hope to get into more of this Doji Cat makeup. Hope that you can see what I'm working with this highlighter. I don't know that we're doing a ton of highlighter these days, but certainly we're getting into colored graphic liner, and we're getting into a lot more makeup palettes. So I feel like that's my discussion of this eyeshadow palette, the whole Prison Bay situation, and a little bit about you know, how we connect and how I may possibly go out to meet Rich Lux in person. I'm sure it'll be brief. They're only there for an hour, but I kind of want to go. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it. In any case, thank you so much for joining me on tonight's live stream and helping me get cute. And you know, it might be time for dinner. It might be time to enjoy the music that my neighbors are playing outside. It will definitely be time to do more makeup when the sun is up again. All right, and more gym, more food, and more love, right? So I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me at House of Tanya, and until next time.